There we go. No six, no seam, no stream successfully survives meeting contact with Scuff. And Cathcray, thank you for the follow. Sorry about that. Thank you very much. Really appreciate that. Now, as you can see, my name is Turos Aquitas Kensei. I was born in the Aquitas district on Earth on October 6th. In the year, well, that's none of your business. Can't tell you that. Far, far distant future. I am 38 years old, which basically makes me a dinosaur for VTubers, or to honestly most people on the internet at this point. But that's fine. I'm not really. If I want it. Okay. Alright. I don't know what you mean by that when you say ask if someone wants it. The 178 centimeters in height, or 5'10", 72.6 kilograms, about 160 pounds. The reason I've got it in those measurements is because that's the rest of the world, the civilized world, the non-idiot part of the world, because we just refuse to do anything but the imperial system out here in the old US. In the distant future, they finally got around to doing it. It's an archaic relic. Yeah, pretty much. Everybody is awful. I've read the history books. People are still kind of awful today, just slightly better. That's pretty much how it goes. Every generation or so, things improve a bit more in one direction or another, and just keeps going to that point until eventually you reach this point. So, let's continue. I was trained at the Pilot Academy Kensei, the Kensei Academy. My name designation is because, well, my family name doesn't really exist anymore once I was enlisted and reached this point in order to, for various, privacy and protection issues. So I was given the name of my district, and finally the surname of the academy I trained upon. It has nothing to do with my heritage. Well, I guess definitely it is sort of a heritage, because it's where I trained from, but more like a cultural heritage, if anything. Regardless, my current duty assignments, thank you, is the Aggregate Space Colony Babel. It's actually a conglomeration of multiple colonies with various cultures of their own. We got India, classic India, Asia. You've got, Japan, you've got China, you've got England, Germany, and yes, even America. As much as everyone likes to, is kind of humanity's a hodgepodge, a melting pot. Yes, they sponsor the Gundam fights. That's a great show. Much of everything's a melting pot, and most cultures are completely disseminated to one another. Grim, thank you for the sub. Appreciate that. I'll have to see about getting those alerts or things working. I thought they were turned on, but oh well, doesn't matter. I'll have to, and I'll see about getting some cool emotes and whatnot for everybody in the future as well. I got some ideas. But as much as everybody is, kind of it's like mutts of each other nowadays with, with genetic dissemination and whatnot in the future, cultural stuff is still been preserved for the sake of history. So when you go to places, you still have, you have your Chinatowns, you have little Tokyos, you've got, little India, you've got baby America, not our, you've got little Italy, you got all those little places, various towns and cities and whatnot. And it just kind of stretched out to that as far as colonies went as well. And for the sake of safety, we had colonies and sectors consolidate together, pull from celestial bodies and just pull in closer, and we kind of attach them together via various structures and connectors and transit hubs and whatnot. So now it's not now it's just one super colony, and it was given the name Babel. There's various districts that they've got. There's the, you know, Agni district, which is, India. There's the Kanto district, which is, the colony for that has a lot of Japanese culture. And then they've got Jersey for America. Not sure why they chose that one, but they went with it, so that's how it goes. I think maybe all the other ones were taken. I don't know. I'll have to look into that in a bit. So that is where I reside, and that is my current duty assignments. My rank is I'm the 13th named. Named are pilots whose mechs have created kind of. It's not fully understood how it works yet, but a degree of unity and mental awakening occurs, and the machine is able to output incredible amounts of power. And has a transformation that reflects that, as far as the mental state of the pilots, stuff, various things like that. Maybe if it gets okayed in the future, I can show you what my partner looks like. For all ceremonial purposes and whatnot, I have the rank of a colonel as far as the field goes. I can pretty much tell people hey, get out of here, soldiers, because I'm coming through. It is dangerous. You need to make space. But overall, yeah, it's essentially a special rank, but overall it's just treated as a colonel. I still have to pay respects to the various generals and whatnot. But overall, I'm treated as an independent unit. The designation for my unit is NDG X13 Grendel. NDG stands for Nom de Guerre. Essentially, names we carry into battle. Which, it's kind of ironic, because, kind of funny, because most of the units, the basic units, don't have official names of their own. So we tend to, call them no names, or Nanashis, stuff like that. But overall, they are known as NDG units. Don't know. I'm gonna muscle right through that statement, Yellow, and just keep on trucking is what I'm gonna do. Moving on. Fun facts about me. My favorite color, if it wasn't clear, like white, blue, silver, the sky tones. I love the sky. I love space. I like looking at it. I think it's beautiful. My hobbies are video games, just games in general, really. Cooking, voice acting, writing, dancing, singing. I like to do all kinds of things. I'd call myself a modern Renaissance man, but the Renaissance never really actually ended for humanity. When you look at things, we look back at the far distant past and whatnot, and Italy and Rome and whatnot, the various things going on in the Renaissance era. I feel like, man, look at all that creativity and all the wonderful things they developed and invented, and the great works. But that's always been true beyond that point. Every moment throughout our histories, we've been making incredible advancements in technology and art, culture. We've never stopped doing it. We're still doing it today. For the Renaissance, don't call it a comeback. It was always here. Important thing to remember. We're all living in a renaissance. Especially nowadays. We have VTubers, all these people that just, a blanket term of content creators. We have people just making stuff all the time because they just can't stop making stuff. Our attention spans are down to a microsecond. But because of that, we always have to make something new. Focus on something new. Okay, I made this song. Now I'm bored. I'm going to write a book. Oh, I'm bored. I'm going to paint something. I can't, the itching in my brain hasn't stopped. Now I'm gonna, direct a movie. We never stop. We never ever stop, and it's wonderful. Now, my favorite food, I really enjoy ramen. Yeah, starving for creative outlet. Yep, we pretty much are constantly. We're all ground down with, work and burdens like that, and it's just we're starved to do more things, to fill ourselves one way or another, and we just cram as much as we can in there. Making things for an audience of one. But yeah, spicy pork, chicken. I prefer have flavors regarding that. I don't really care for beef in ramen. It just never had a good flavor to me. I always felt like, oh, hey, it's just kind of like soggy beef. Maybe if I have a really good one someday, I'll change, but my mind. But for now, like the pork and chicken, is just so much more flavorful, and chicken tends to be a lot better for you. But regardless, it's one of my favorite dishes, and it's a popular mainstay no matter where you go, even in the distant future, and I know in the distant past. Pretty much anytime people are like, let's just get ramen, let's just do it. And it's just always a good idea. My favorite games are Final Fantasy 14. I've been playing for a longest time. May not really stream that game because, that's like, a lot of it's just like for me. So, a lot of people like, oh, I'm gonna, plunge the sippy straw into your brain and drink your experience and feed off that experience again so I can relive that. Well, you're not going to get that with me because I already did everything. So, that's how that goes. There are folks who do, like, playthroughs of New Game Plus and everything like that and do everything again, but I'm probably never going to do that. It got so many other things I want to do. The Armored Core series, which is making a comeback, baby! I'm very excited for that. Incredibly stoked. Been wanting a new Ace Combat Armored Core game for a long time. Also another Ace Combat game, but that's, we'll talk about that in a second. Incredible games since the PlayStation era. They're very difficult, very involved, and the way the controls work on the games have just changed pretty drastically over the time as far as evolution of games go. And I knew there was one in the works for a couple of years now. But, I didn't want to keep my hopes up on that because a lot of times it ends up falling into, oh, yeah, no, we just decided we weren't going to do it. And we're just going to keep doing the Souls stuff because that's where all the money is. And the people who, give us the okay on this stuff, they're the ones who make the final decision. But, so I'll just, had a little bit of hope in my heart, just digging deep in my heart a little bit just to see, and it happened. It got confirmed. We got the trailer. It was glorious. The story's being written by one of the writers for The Expanse, one of the best sci-fi shows ever made. Fantastic story. People should check it out. So I cannot wait. Found out that this was happening and when it was going to come out. Within a year. Within like 6 months or so. And I was talking to my brother Saber, and he was like, okay, we're gonna put the pedal to the metal to get your model out there and going so it's ready for this. Because it must be. And so we spake the words, and then it was. And here we are now. It's gonna be fantastic. I cannot wait. I'm just absolutely gonna live that with my entire being for weeks. Perhaps months on end. Who knows how much content we'll have in that. And I'll go online. My old brittle man bones will get absolutely crushed by these absolute automatons that are teenagers these days playing this shit. My soul will be crushed, but I'll be happy because the next generation gets to experience it. That's the fate of old men. To crumple and fall and be stepped over by the future. Plant trees whose shade we will not live to enjoy in the future. I am... Huh? Well, I'd have to know a lot about you to do that, but also it is expressly forbidden to do that. I mean, there's some things I can tell y'all. I will never stop waxing poetic. You cannot stop me. I have a captive audience, semi-captive, because they can just turn me off and leave. But no, I'm not going to. But there's some things I can tell you about the future, because it's been figured out that humans are fucking dumb. Y'all are gonna do the exact thing we warn you about. Like, nah, that won't happen. Nah, that's ridiculous. Don't believe me? Tell a child that the oven's hot. Watch what happens. Get the burn cream. That's a hint of what's going to happen. I know what's going on right now regarding, like, you know, illnesses and such at this time. Well, strap in. It ain't going anywhere. Hate to break it to you. Now, I also really enjoy the Ace Combat series. Good point, Harka. They was like, yeah, no, I believe you. Why would I not believe you? That'd be crazy. But the Ace Combat series, also a favorite game of mine. Might be noticing a theme here. Lots of stuff regarding piloting stuff. I played these games back in the day when it was old classic PlayStation, and it was called Air Combat when it was brought here the first time. Then they called it Ace Combat the second time, but regardless. Very simple, very primitive controls and whatnot, but it was filled with marvelous planes and then these crazy futuristic super weapons that you had to deal with. And absolutely breathtaking music. You wouldn't realize looking at it, like, oh, this is a game about fighter jets. Alright, you know, it's gonna be kind of boring as far as the fighter sim goes. Like, you'd be wrong. You'd be so unbelievably wrong. They're some of the best games ever made. The story, the world building, which is insane. The weapons are like, hey, this is not practical. It's completely impossible to build in reality. It's like, yeah, but it's a video game, so we're gonna do it anyway. And it was the right decision. It was fantastic. I'll be playing those games. Maybe not Air Combat, because that looks like a pixelated Lego toys. And it's absolutely garbage. Like, people have to, like, you know, be stabbing their eyes out looking at it. It's hideous. But probably play through the other ones at least, for sure. Now, there are plenty of other games I enjoy, but, you know, we'll be here all week if I have to talk about them all. Now, music, I like jazz, EDM, because I like to move my body, retro synthwave, relatively newish musical trend for the best, I don't know, 2 to 4 years, I think. I'm not 100% certain on that. But it's just like, oh, hey, everything about this speaks to me. Cool, fantastic. And my favorite band is The Midnight. Probably wondering why I don't have music of theirs playing right now. Well, didn't want to do that because I've got something special planned for their music that I want to do in the future. But we'll see whatever that ever comes to be. Keep watching. Who knows? Maybe it'll happen. Fun facts continued. My favorite movies. Blade Runner, which, you know, might have been able to figure that one out from the opening bit of music that I started playing with. Fifth Element, one of my favorite go-to comfort movies. I always like watching it. Never get tired of it. It is pinnacle space opera. It is truly marvelous. You know, it's done by Luc Besson and a lot of his. Indeed, we had the pleasure of showing you a couple of these films there, Ruri, and we're gonna show you more of them for sure, because that's going to be a thing we're gonna do. We're just gonna take, you know, the book of our culture and, you know, that we grew up with and just cram it into your adorable little noggin. That's gonna be fantastic. Might do a movie. Saber might do movie stuff in the future regarding certain things for people. We'll talk about that in the future. But yeah, absolutely love Fifth Element. It's great. It's a fantastic film. Real Steel, which is essentially some director got a hold of my dream journal, which I didn't even know I had one. Apparently I do. And then they made it into a movie. It's about well, not giant, but very large robots that box. What else do you want to know about the movie at this point. That you should be trying to watch it right now as we speak. Uh, Apparently, a sequel is supposed to be in the works for a long time, but I don't know if it's ever going to happen. I don't know. Especially with the writer's strike going on. So, good luck to those folks. They deserve what they're going to, to be paid what they're worth. Fly the Navigator. Fun developmental film of my childhood. A boy who gets kind of lost out of time and then goes on adventures with a UFO. I'd go in more detail about it, but need to show it to Ruri, so that's not going to happen. But, it's a wonderful film. Probably do a watch along with it with y'all someday in the future. Never Ending Story. Again, spoke to me a lot as a kid. Bullied kid. Got, a lot of escapism into various... Explorers was also a really cool film. I should probably add that to our list, actually. For that. That is... Explorers was really cool. Yeah. Never Ending Story, a bullied kid gets a book and reads it to himself. And we essentially, while he's narrating, we travel with him through that story. It has one of the best payoffs ever in a film. One of the greatest payoffs ever. Never get tired of it. Just get absolutely hyped. If you know what it is, keep it to yourself, because some people haven't seen it, because it's a very old film. Dune, the latest one. I mean, technically I like all the Dune films, but the latest one is absolutely incredible. Oh my god. Saber, our best buddy, and Valley, and myself, we just absolutely lost our minds watching that film. We were just, squealing like little schoolgirls at various scenes because of the cinematography and the directional choices. And just, setting, telling the story itself. It was fantastic. I loved it. Now for manga. I read too damn many of these things. We'll be here for a year, at least, if I have to. Indeed, Yellow. A rare case of that being the new one being done way better. Des Villeneuve has got his name. Hopefully, I pronounced his name right. But he gets a blanket, watch from me for films for a while, because so far he's just been absolutely killing it for movies he's done. But yeah, for manga, Faraway Paladin. In my opinion, it is one of the best stories out there right now. It nails the fantasy genre in a way that most other stories just don't. And it's isekai, but without being an overpowering power fantasy kind of thing. Doesn't have the typical tropes of the harem nonsense or things like that. The isekai is used as a storytelling element, so the main character can put things into terms that the reader could understand. It's it's like this and like this. So it's used as a storytelling device. But if you haven't read it, I think it's getting an anime in the future, if it hasn't already. But it's absolutely incredible. It's worth watching. And worth reading. It's super good. Radiation House. Medical drama manga. Essentially about a radiology technologist, and working basically in a radiation wing of a hospital. He's a fully licensed doctor with all the knowledge necessary for diagnosing patients, and he goes on to work beside somebody a woman he promised his kids that he would become a technologist to work at her family's hospital, and they would have the best radiology team in the world. And it has a lot of really cool medical terms and whatnot, and it's very well researched, and it's always worth watching a lot of these newer things here, because you never know when you're going to find a little bit of knowledge that might help you save someone's life. I'm not going to go into details, but I am speaking from experience here, from just watching a TV show, I learned how to notice notice something, and I did, and it helped someone immensely. I'm not gonna give more details on it, even though it's like old news now at this point. But I'm not trying to be that person. So just take it from me. It's worth learning these little bits of information out there. I always like to learn little bitty things. Bartender is what it is. It's about a guy who keeps a bar and has lots of history about various cocktails and alcohols. Very interesting. Love learning stuff. Blue Giant, incredibly cool manga about jazz. Yeah, no, that anime is very chill. But yeah, Blue Giant is about an upcoming young man named Dai who wants to become the world's greatest jazz musician, saxophone player. And the entire story, it's through his perspective and whatnot, and various other people's perspectives. But they also do this really cool behind the music scene throughout the story of characters he meets and comes across and interacts with. And basically they tell the story like, oh yeah, when I met him he was doing this and whatnot, we got along, we did this together, and like, oh no, it was only a short period of time and whatnot, but I'll never forget that. And it's like, because they're all being interviewed to talk about it, and that's so cool. I absolutely love it. It really makes you feel like you're exploring a person's life. It's really fantastic. Live Dungeon, it's also kind of an isekai thing with regarding like a person gets sent to sort of the world of a game that he used to play. There are a lot of various things different, but it allows a lot of world building and whatnot. And essentially he is a healer, and people are, for some reason, are stupid when they put their teams together. They don't know about tanks or aggro or proper ways to use a healer. Like, no, just have the healer revive us when we die, and when they get killed from collecting aggro, it's whatever. Like, that is what? No. Why would you do that? It's like, no, tanks to draw aggro. Like, why would you want to do that? Just have more DPS to kill it faster in 5 head. Like, that's okay. But it's kind of like my guilty pleasure thing. Story is what it is. My Next Life as a Villainous, fantastic. One of the funniest stories out there. Very wholesome. Breaks all the tropes. I know, right? It's reverse harem, but also harem. Hey, Rio. Thanks for joining us. But yeah. And she just, because it's so wholesome, the main character, she's a bit of an airhead and whatnot, but she's so sweet and kind, she just rizzes everybody. She rizzes all the guys in the story, and she also rizzes all the girls in the story. Just naturally from doing all this stuff there. And it's incredibly funny. And it fills hard. It's so good. Cannot recommend it enough. It's so entertaining. It's really good. And I think that's the one that kickstarted the whole blank as villainous, manga. It basically started the entire trend. And a lot of them are pretty bad, but this one's just really, really, really good. Grand Blue Dreaming. It's about scuba diving? Question mark? It's a lot of it's just kind of like a backdrop for life in general. But it's the college group, main character, he joins up with the scuba diving group. That that's because that's a thing, I guess, that you can get. If you're near water, you have a scuba club. Imagine that would be a thing you could do. I wonder if the local colleges have that too. Would make sense. But no, it's the main character's outlook and care they have for the people in his life. No, I'm not doing that. I really identify a lot with him regarding certain things regarding that, and also it's incredibly funny. It is so freaking funny. I have busted it up multiple times. Space Brothers. If I had to say what's my favorite story, it is this one. Two brothers. They become astronauts, go into space. It's a bit of into the future, so they have access to different kinds of technology. but it's still a lot of it's like very based in current facts. It's just like, oh well, this is all theoretical stuff we're working on in the future. That's that we're going to do, or things I've planned, and they incorporate that into the story too. But it's positively beautiful. No other way to describe it. It's fantastic. I love it. Also, one of my favorite songs in an anime for the second opening. Also, really like tabletop games. Dungeons and Dragons, like, oh man, it's generic Dungeons and Dragons. How could you? You're such a poser. That's what everyone plays. Blah 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 blah. Shut the fuck up. It's accessible. It's what people start with, and then they can branch to other things. Just let people enjoy things. Yeah, they screw up and do a lot of dumb shit. Everybody does. All the time. Just, you have to make peace of that and enjoy what you can. And then you can branch out and do other kinds of games. Just do that. Oh yeah, absolutely. Wizards of the Coast sending like Pinkertons out to a guy. That was pretty messed up. Let people know like, oh hey, yeah, these are still a thing. They're still around, and they're still absolutely fucking awful. But yeah, then there's also Lancer, an incredibly awesome game, based as hell, that I really want to play, but it's never gonna happen because everybody I know just wants to play it, and nobody wants to fucking run it. Nobody wants to run it. Cowards. How dare you? Fucking run it. And let me play it, please. Okay. But, and then there's the Blade Runner game, which I picked relatively new. Did some play with it, and it's really cool. I really like it. It's easy game to pick up and play, and just have a lot of people to get into it and get in and out of it, and of the rotating cast. It's very, very accessible and very convenient for your time, I feel. Now, in a distant future, for the future streams, I plan to do a live D&D show with some people. I've already got the players all set up, and I've already got the bulk of the campaign planned out and everything. Just need some... Well, that's the thing. Like, when you have players, it's just like you have to have life, be convenient to let you play. And that's not always the case. A lot of time, it's just the case of one of those games out there like, oh, no, I'm going to do this. Like, cool. Nobody's got time for that. Everybody wants to do it, but nobody's got time, which that's the unfortunate reality of it. That's okay, though. It'll happen eventually. In the meantime, more likely to occur is I plan to do a Blade Runner game in the future with a rotating cast. Basically, people can just go in and out because the game could easily have 1 to 4 players. It's very, very useful that. The only reason why it would take time is because I'd have to get like lots of art assets for it. Like I could do various things for that, but it really struggles regarding like making crime scenes, which I need. For the sake of storytelling. I want to do, a semi-decent job. Also, writing mysteries is a different beast entirely that I've been learning to do. So that's been an interesting challenge. I wrote a pretty decent one to start with, but in the future, we'll see where that goes. But that is one of my plans in the future. I also want to do kind of a Space Ghost coast-to-coast style show. Space Ghost was one of my favorite shows growing up. It was definitely helped to form a lot of my fostered a lot of my humor. It's hard to describe, but it's essentially like Eric Andre essentially made that show again with just himself and some friends, which was exceptional. Not he did some of his own great stuff. Oh yeah, yes. Martin Croker, absolutely fantastic. He's an absolute legend. It was fantastic. But I do want to do something like that in the future. And just have guests and whatnot, and just do crazy stuff there and have antics, and it'll be fun. And simple radio show where I just, play some music and answer some listener questions. Various things like that. Maybe the listener's real, maybe it's not. A lot of those times those write-in shows don't have people writing into them, and they just make something up and have fun with it. And that's what I plan. That's what I would do, and it'd be hilarious. That'd be fun. Good chill time. That's kind of what I want to do. It's gonna be fun. And skits. I have lots of skits. Can't do a lot of them right now because it requires contacts with people that I just don't have. but maybe someday. Because I got lots of things in my head, and I want to just put them out there. And I don't want to just do, myself playing like 5 different roles, and that's just not really fun. I want to get more people included and just have a good time. Now, dreams. Gotta have dreams. Well, that's what the radio show's for, is the one-man show. I want to one day voice act in a lead role for a video game, in an anime. Someday. Yeah, Saber sharing the Blade Runner game that I ran once for him and a buddy of mine. So, yeah, definitely check that out. It's fantastic. It's pretty cool. I am writing something, and I need to finish it up. That's like anyone who writes, I need to finish it up. But one day I want to publish something I've written one day. Get that going. Hello, friendo. Thank you so much for being here. How delightful to see you, friend. Nyla is a excellent bean, marvelous friendo, and is one of the people that I have planned to work on that, to do the D&D thing with me in the future. We just all have to, get our proverbial shit together and get some time to do it, which that's always the hard part, but it'll happen someday. Is that okay? Is that frog holding a rainbow, or is it rainbow heart, or is it vomiting a rainbow? Okay, holding a heart. That's fine. I mean, it's either it's fine with me, but yeah. But yeah, Nyla's a marvelous friend of mine, who I love very much. I want to improve my acting and my singing. Like, I can sing a bit, for the most part, for a lot of various things, but I really need to learn how to properly use my instrument, which I've never done. So hopefully someday I can do that. Improve my acting, which is like, I'll do a lot of D&D stuff there that helps me practice that. But that's something I'll be polishing up too. And I wish to achieve personal enlightenment. And like, that's not a joke. I do want to do that. I think that's something that can be attained even nowadays. It's like, oh, I'm just gonna go to the top of a mountain and not have any wants or needs. Like, oh, so you are taking yourself away from temptation in order to achieve enlightenment. Well, I can't have. Well, that's mean like you have. The point of it is to have the temptations. Cool. Good luck, friendo. The point is to have temptations and then not fall to them. It's cheating if you just go to a mountain where nothing is. Like, oh yeah, I have attained enlightenment, and I know, and I'm one with the universe now. Like, But, he's like, looking at clouds that are shaped a certain way and rubbing one out to the sky. He's doing that. Those guys, that's cheating. Be surrounded by humanity and its temptations. And surpass that. That's enlightenment. Yeah, you can't be one of the universe if you aren't taking part in it. Exactly. And now, let's go beyond the veil and discuss more about myself here. Now, the concept design was by myself, of course, and a marvelous artist named, known as Rydith. I'm pretty sure that's how you pronounce it, Rydith. And so that would make them my art mama, Rydith Mochi. And that's their Twitter account, Rydith Mochi. I found them because they do really awesome art of Gundams and various, like, mobile suits and things like that. And I'm like, oh, wow. I want to hire them for something someday. And then, as I was, like, shopping around for someone who could do my model, I was like, oh, they do VTuber models now. Have they ever done it before? Yes, they have. Let's take a look. Oh, that looks good. I like that. Let me tap that. And I did. And we got along great because we're both huge mecha nerds. And we kind of, geeked out on Armored Core a little bit. So we got to work on that, and thanks to that, now I'm here. Now, model cut and rigging. Daddy. That's because they want to be called that. Even though I'm pretty sure I'm older than all of them. But Xeritol, VT. Uh, they did a really good job, I feel. My mouth goes great. My movement's fine. They gave me some really cool toggles, which I'll show off in a second. Yeah. Thank you, Ruri. I appreciate that. I think. I try to embody Daddy in everything I do. Now, for the intro music, it was Within Cells Interlinked by a gentleman by the name of Krona. Came across this song months and months and months ago. I was like, man, I really like this. This is really good. While I was doing my research for my Blade Runner game. And I was like, what should I do there? What should I do here? And I was like, oh, wait. You know what? I'm just gonna ask them if it's okay if I can use it. And they're like, oh hell yeah, yeah, do that, please. So yeah. But yeah, you can check them out on but yeah, that's their music there. I'll share their stuff there in the Discord and whatnot, so y'all can see it. It's for their channel and whatnot. They've put on a couple of musical bits there, and so it was really cool. They appreciate it. Really glad he let me use this for music. And for the outro, When You Grow Up, Your Heart Dies by Gunship. Gunship is an awesome band. Didn't get in contact with them to ask for permission, but thankfully they put out a video saying, hey, if you want to use our music in your stuff, do it. It's aces with us. So I did that. So thankful for that. Awesome. And here is the reference sheet. Now here you can see my various phases here. I made my hair a little bit more wavy. A lot of folks do spiky hair. Didn't want to do that. I know my hair looks a bit spiky, but it's actually more of a wavy kind of hair, because that's how my actual hair is. So I'm like, okay. Okay, yeah, it does have my thing there. You can see the artistic work there done for my arm. Thank you, Arca. Wish you didn't have said it that way, but, well, it is what it is. So cool, thanks. Appreciate it. God damn it. I mean, the Horny found me on Twitter, before I even got to this point, because they were like, hey, what that arm do, though, bro? I'm like, well, it can kind of do anything, because it's, nanomachines. It's nanotech. Like, oh, does it have vibration? Like, that technically falls under anything. Yes, that could do that. So, like, okay, that's fine, So they have fun with that. That's fine. That's fine. That's totally okay. But yeah, I wanted to have, I really love the work that Mochi Rydith did regarding how my arm looks. It's got like bits of pieces of my skin in between it threaded in. It does look like, oh, I just got an arm attached to me. The way it goes into my torso looks fantastic. And the jacket looks really good. And those little clips you can see on the side here. Let me just move aside here. See little clips here? Yeah, this sleeve can actually come off, so I can just have the arm out. Which, don't have that animation for that right now, but in the future I will. Rio, WizKid, thank you very much for the follow. Greatly appreciate that. It means a lot to me. And is that like kind of like designed like how up here on top, like my artificial heart and lung, or at least one of those. So it goes there, and a closer look at my pendant, which really love how that came together. And that is all there is to go for me for now. Let's go ahead and go back to the scene here. Close that out. And I can show you a little bit of what I can do. Get you a better look at this model. I can take the jacket off. And you can can see. Give a closer look there. Start from the bottom here. Here are my sweet kicks. No, 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 God damn it, no. Stop. Cease. Alright, the... Yeah, it's a bit of a simple design, but I really like simple designs. It's, I like a minimalist approach to a lot of things. There's much discussed here. You know, we got my excellent breathable pants here. This isn't really a tank top. It's actually part of the bodysuit that I wear when I go out. Well, it's not my emote, it's the friend's emote, but the well, it's not bare feet, so it's probably fine there, Arca. I'm sure I'm fine. But this is actually part of the bodysuit that I wear when I'm in my when I'm piloting Grendel. Oh, when I scratch my nose, it does that? Alright, that's fine. And because the nanomachine is running throughout my body, my blood, my body's kept in pretty good condition, you know, so I don't have to spend a lot of time, you know, exercising in zero gravity. Or, you know, just in general. So, like, you know, there's gravity inside the colonies, but, you know, able to keep in condition at all times, thankfully. There are limits, so you need a bit of exercise in general, but that's how it goes. God damn it! Alright. And get a closer look at my arm here. Xeratal did a very good job of the animation. Not sure what your question is, but see a bit of my skin here. It's kind of like torn with the mesh here. Now the arm itself is the dark part, and the armor parts were added a bit later on there. You know, with additional nanomachine support, so I was able to, you know, my artificial intelligence Ren was able to make that for me. Keeps stuff from getting clogged inside it. Oh yes, very shiny. The outer skin is a titanium composite. The interior part is pretty much carbon nanofiber. Best way I can describe that as far as an equivalent goes. Beyond that would be redacted. And as far as the power source goes, can't tell you about that. Don't need to worry about it. You wouldn't be able to understand it, and it hasn't been invented yet, so it's fine. No. I'm not going to tell you just because you asked me. I just said no. Anyway, that's how that appears there. And I can take my glasses on and off, for people that prefer that. Very marvelous. I was going to do a thing for my facial hair too, but I think that request got lost in the sauce, so they'll have to wait for in the future. Yeah, you're probably more correct than you think. There we go. And of course, if I'm going to have glasses and be an anime dude, gotta have this. You have to rock the Gendo. Hey son, I know I have like completely abandoned you for like your entire life, but stop being a pussy and get inside this robot, huh? Alright, well, I'm gonna go hang out with your mother's clone baby version. See ya. That's not weird. This is gonna make a franchise. I don't know about Ava Abridged. I never watched Ava Abridged, but yeah, pretty much. Let's put that back on. Ugh. I know, right? Ugh. It's just like, hey, let's put a lot of fucked up kids together and make them pilot giant death machines in order to protect humanity. What's the worst that could happen? Oh, literally the worst thing that could happen happened. So, god damn. Anyway. Ugh. Well, managed to stretch that out for about an hour. Speaking of stretching. Ugh. Yeah, I got back problems. That's just how it is. Let's let's have some fun and play something, huh? God damn it.